Once again, it's on. It's on. It's on.
All right, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Intellectual Foreplay. This is Mr. Nice Guy. I got some special guests straight out of town from upstate New York. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics today. A couple topics being marriage, spirituality, men in the church, the bachelor life. We're going to really talk about a lot of different issues. So ladies, pay attention to this. Fellas, pay attention to this because we got a lot of questions. We're going to give you a lot of good feedback. So first, I want everybody to introduce themselves. Start with my left.
J. Dot.
There we go, J. Dot.
Jay.
Jay, we got Jay.
Mike.
JJ, and Mike. You know what I'm saying? We got a couple Bulls fans here, but that's all right.
Sir.
That's all right. We're going to work it out. You know, I don't know how that works out. You're from New York, and you like a Chicago team, but it seems to be
crazy.
Should be a little trend.
Says a lot about that New York team.
Well, you know what? The Knicks going to be all right. The Knicks going to be all right. We're going to hire Patrick Ewing. And we're gonna work some things out.
Keep hope alive.
I told you about my boy Zinger.
Enjoy that.
I told you about my boy Zinger. He should have won Rookie of the Year, but it is what it is.
Have fun with that.
All right, well, you're going to see when we get that lottery pick next year.
Next year. No lottery pick this year.
Definitely
in the lottery. No pick.
And we're gonna pick up KD. We're gonna make some moves. We might get doubles. We might get work and KD. We might clear that cap out. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's hopeful. Yeah, I like that. Knicks fans always hoping.
Listen. You gotta ride with the Knicks though. We the realest fans though.
It's better than our whole franchise being held up by two bad knees.
Oh man, that boy Derrick Rose, where he started, he was on the top, man. Is he suicidal right now? I don't know. He hearing a lot about Steph Curry, and that used to be him.
Yeah, it might be, but 73, 74. Last time the Knicks won anything?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get into the topic. We're gonna get into the topic. We're gonna get into the topic. All right, this episode we're gonna call this one the Bachelor ×2. All right, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, I'm gonna set it off with the first question. All right, who's married here? First of all,
I'm married.
You're married. Everybody.
I'm married. Everybody married.
Everybody
engaged
to be married. All right. So, fellas, think back for a second. You're a bachelor. You were single. You were dating. Describe that experience and kind of what led you to say, you know what, this is it. This is the one. We're gonna fly straight. We're gonna keep it clean.
I prayed for it. To be honest, I asked for it, and it seems easy. You ask for it, you get it. But I asked for love. I asked for somebody to love me, and I never knew that until, I asked for it. It took a little bit, but it came along perfectly. After a little bit of fun running, trying different things here and there, trying to see what I could do, I asked for it, it came along, and the process was kind of the process from there.
What do you think makes your experience different? Because I feel like there's a lot of single women in church that be praying and worshiping and all up in the spirit hard, and they single. They can't find a man. And I know there's not too many men in the church to pick from, but you got a lot of sisters out there that's praying hard for God to send them somebody, or whoever they pray to. It could be God, it could be Buddha, it could be Allah, whatever they want, whatever spiritual realm they worship in. Their prayer life they've been asking, listen, send me the right one. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to have one guy. I'm trying to start a family. What makes your circumstance different from a guy or a girl that may be in their spiritual self that is praying and they just haven't quite found that person?
I think they pray and they go to church, and then they do the same thing over and over. Like, they have bad experiences with guys. They get to the next guy and want it to be different, but then they do the same foolishness they did before. Putting dudes in a place that they haven't earned. You calling them hubby, you doing this for him, you cooking and cleaning and doing all these crazy things for him, and he hasn't wifed you up, he hasn't put a ring on your finger, he hasn't made any promises or commitments, and then he moves on after he came to get what he got, moves on, and you get somebody else in your life, and you think it's different, but then you go and do the same thing all over again. And I think, it's insanity to do the same thing over and over and expect something different. And a lot of females in the same position that they found themselves in for every dude they've been with before, because they keep doing the same thing, expecting something different.
And I also think that when women they do join a church and they have this awesome experience with God, and they begin to look for someone similar to God, not knowing that everybody has their flaws, even men in the church. And so what happens is you're waiting for this perfect person to come your way, and you keep waiting for the perfect person. And many dudes probably approach you, even the dudes from the church, but because you set your expectations so high, and you set your expectations so high, you kind of eliminated the human side to the relationships.
I always had this theory, right? And I get into a lot of arguments with women because relationships is one of my topics, my hot buttons. And I always had this theory that I don't even think women want a godly man. But, let me say some women, because I don't want nobody attacking my inboxes or anything like that, trying to generalize. People don't like generalization, so let me say some women. I believe that women like projects, all right? So you take a God-fearing man that is in the church, loves his mother, loves the Lord first and foremost, respects women. When I say respects women, they're agreeing to be monogamous. They're agreeing to be sexually untainted. They don't want to they don't believe in premarital sex, and they don't have the lifestyle that they normally chase. They come right at you clean. Boom. That's it. The perfect package. What I find happens a lot of times is when women encounter men like this, they're either intimidated, afraid, or they call them boring. Right. So when, quote unquote, God brings you a nice guy, we had this conversation about nice guys last week, brings you a nice guy or brings you a God-fearing man, it's almost like, well, I want a God-fearing man, but who said anything about withholding sex? I mean, I believe that, we could still be intimate. I believe we could still move in together, but when you have a God-fearing man that believes in the Bible and believes in being led by the Spirit, he's not doing those things. So that kind of, what do you want? You want a sometimes God-fearing man, but then you kind of want a sometimes somebody that can go street, and then you kind of want somebody that is educated and driven, and then you kind of want somebody that's home with you. To me, it's an unfair stipulation that they are looking for when it comes to, oh, Lord, send me a man that is led by your Spirit. Because when that happens, they find out a lot of stuff about themselves that they're not necessarily prepared to deal with. Now, you're seeing a lot of hot topics right now. You got what's the quarterback? Russell Wilson and Sierra, they've said publicly they're not engaged. I don't know how he's doing that. Right. I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna take the brother's word for it, because if she was with me and she's dancing, and I don't know if 50 Cent got it, I want it. Right? That's how I feel about it. But they said they ride, they fly in righteous, they go in public, and I applaud Russ for setting the tone for that type of brother, that type of nice guy, that type of God-fearing man to kind of take the stage finally, so that we can showcase that type of male, so that our young women can say, hey, you know what, there's guys like this. This is what we need to be looking for. Right. And then you have the other one, Megan Good and her husband. They wrote a book, I forget, was it Patiently Waiting? Something Waiting. The Wait. I think that's the name of the book. And how they were abstinent prior to getting married. And if that's a trend that a lot of people are trying to put out there and promote, I applaud it. But at the same time, are the masses of women looking for that when they're asking for a God-fearing man? And when that God-fearing man shows up, it seems like the abstinence card is being played.
I think the crazy thing is that some women play the card and then they want to revoke the card in certain situations. And I feel like when you get into a situation where the male feels the relationship is about one thing because of a way you've portrayed, and then he goes and does something that's contrary to how you feel, when you pulled the card out, he was like, okay, this is what it's about. And now that he's acting on the card that you played, whether he's not being monogamous or whatever it is, then women get upset. When you set the standard and you allowed him to come into a situation that he became comfortable in, and you set that standard, and so when he now exercises what he feels is his right in that standard, y'all get upset. But you set the standard in the first place.
Right.
I think, too, when it comes to the standard in general, women forget that maybe because they don't face it, but that the man may have that standard. So that man you're looking for may actually also have a standard. You're not the only one who has the idea that this is what I'm looking for and this is what I expect. The man you're looking for, if you're looking for a God-fearing man, may just be that man that has the expectations too, and may say, this is what I expect from the woman that I'm with, because the woman that I'm with is what God is delivering me, and because of that, he's living in that line. And that's something that women are used to being in control of, and they find it difficult to have to live under that same standard when they're so used to dishing out a standard. And like you said, it makes them kind of look at themselves when they're sitting there and they're going to Bible study and they're going to Sunday school and they're going to every service. They think they're thinking that they're doing, all of these great things for God, and forgetting that they have their flaws. Like Jay said, everybody has their flaws, but they're forgetting their own, and forget that, the guy may be doing the same thing, understanding the flaws, but hey, this is the line that I set because this is the kind of woman that I want, and this is nothing but expectations on my end too.
Yeah, and I think what it is just because I'm God-fearing doesn't mean I don't have a lot of the same desires that you do.
Right.
I have the desires, to marry the perfect woman. I have the desires to have the white fence and the big house. I have desires, to
Have sex.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
and you have those desires,
right.
You know what I mean? And so it's almost like, sometimes I think, when you get into a relationship with a woman who has been in the church, you have those desires. She looked at you sometimes as if you're not supposed to.
Right.
You're supposed to be a God-fearing man.
Right.
I am a God-fearing man, but just because I have these type of desires, just because we slip up, we mess up, doesn't make me less of a God-fearing man.
Right. Especially when you set that standard and played that card.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't set the standard, play the card, and then I show you that I'm willing to work and exercise in the standard you set, and now there's something wrong with me.
Right.
When you was the one putting it out, and then I took it, and now you upset because it's all my fault that we messed up. No, you set the standard, and we both have faults that we clearly see we exercised, and now move on. Don't make it seem like it's all the guy's fault.
Right.
And like in a relationship, I want somebody who's saved, sanctified, and ratchet. I mean, that's my. Give me a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? So, and I mean,
but it's true though. I'm laughing because I'm kind of thinking like,
I that's one thing I don't want and when I was dating my fiance, my wife now, is like that was one of the first things I told her. I don't want anybody who's perfect, somebody who has to portray themselves as perfect. We're two imperfect people who are going to see perfection in each other.
And you know why that is, right? If you met a perfect person, you'll start feeling some type of way about yourself.
Right.
And when I tell people, as a part of my quality, it sounds ignorant. I've come a long way, I promise you. But when I was in college, I said I want somebody that's pretty, that's thick, and that has a little bit of low self-esteem. What I'm saying by this, when I said the low self-esteem part, it was more like me saying somebody that's humble, because people aren't perfect. People think they're entitled because they're flawless, they look beautiful, they have education, they have money, but on the inside, what do you look like? You know what I mean? I don't want somebody that is just so perfect that it makes me feel like, dang, I really don't have anything to offer. I know that this part of my brain has work to do. And when I look at you, it's like, what issue can I ask you to change? I want you to be able to have some issues so that I can always play the card. Well, you do this when I mess up. Well, look, you ain't perfect too. Blah blah blah. But when you find somebody that's perfect, it's kind of like you got to be on your toes all the time because one, you know they got options.
Right.
Two, you always gotta make sure yourself so that you're improving yourself. And that could be a lot of pressure. You might not be ready to commit to church. You might not be ready to match her salary. You might not be ready to match her scholastic achievement. And that happens all the time, especially when dating in this generation because women are empowered now. Women they're not waiting for men to do anything. They're going to college and they say, "Yo, I'm doubling up. Get me out. Get me my master's. Boom. Now we want the doctorates. We want it all. I want all the money.
Right.
And I'm gonna go to church too. And I'm gonna keep praying for this type of man." But she's not realizing that the more she upgrades herself, the more she's upgrading her expectations, leaving the man who hasn't necessarily mentally got to that point unavailable because now they're not qualified.
Right.
You don't match my salary, you don't match my education, and you don't even match my level of spirituality because I'm here with God. Where are you? But when the man gets there and he has that revelation, it's kind of like, whoa.
Right.
You're not supposed to have that. I'm the woman, and I'm the more spiritually rooted person. I'm gonna give you an example of what I mean by that. And y'all know me, my audience. Y'all, I say what I want. My wife know that we talk about our relationship on the air. When I met my wife, she was a Catholic. She converted, so that we could be equally yoked. That was important to me. I would say that she caught me at the perfect time. Like literally when I was just a broken individual, and I was looking like really seeking spirituality to kind of deliver me from a lot. And when I got to that place, she was kind of like, whoa, you asking me to do what now? We got to go to church more and wait, abstinence. You want to abstain until we get married? What's going on? Like this is happening too. You don't want me to go to the club no more? Like what's going on? There was a lot of things that I was asking her to change that she wasn't necessarily ready to change, but she was willing to because we were in love. She was willing to make that sacrifice so she can, I guess, quote unquote, get to my level of spirituality, you want to call it. And when that happened, I think that was my light switch. Like, yo, this chick is really, she's down for me. Like the last thing on the list was us being spiritually yoked, and we got yoked up together. And that goes back to my original question. What made me want to settle down and get married? I had to ask her. I put this question on the table. I said, "What have you done with me that you have never done with another man, physically, emotionally, etc.? Because I'm pretty sure you loved other guys. I'm pretty sure you cooked for other guys. You've had sex with other guys. You've cleaned for other guys. I don't want that." Because you gave that to someone. What have you done for me? What's different?
Yeah, right.
What is perfectly mine that I can call mine? And I had to really reinvent what sex means. I had to reinvent what love means. And when I was able to really sit down and digest my definition of sexual intercourse and the reason why I asked her to abstain, it meant this. I said, the next time we have sex, I want to be married. And I want it to be a celebration of man re-entering woman, going back to the Adam and Eve story, and we really make love according to God's plan and have that type of celebration. You've never done that with anybody else. So that is what I wanted from her, and we did a good job.
got it.
We did a good job at it. I mean, when we first met, we were rabbits. I'm not whatever. But it came to a point where we had to walk into a marriage and ask for something different because she's never married anybody, I've never married anybody, and we wanted something different from a significant other. And that's what kind of led me down the aisle, and that kind of separates her from the pack of women that because I was in them streets, I'm not going to lie. It is what it is. I have my past. You know all about it. There is no no story that's, well, maybe a couple of stories. But everything that's pertinent is on the table, and vice versa. Everything that she, has done, I've asked questions. Everything I was willing to hear, per se.
Right.
I don't want to know too much. I don't want to go digging too much into the closet. But, And, going back to my special guest, I got to say this publicly. I don't know if I said it before. Jay, you are like, I would pretty much give you that 33% of why I got married. Because I was able to see marriage in them trenches. Like I was able to see when the sickness and health. I saw that up close in person, and I understood. Like, you know what? We supposed to grow old together, but what if that don't happen? Right. You know, everything to me. I got 2 beautiful daughters. You know, me and my wife, we have our ups and downs, but, you know, it's a marriage, and I think our ups and downs is because we got kids now. I was telling Jay, I said, yo, anytime somebody asks me how my daughters are, I take a deep breath. And I say, They wear that soul out. But, you know, Jay, bringing it back, you definitely are very instrumental into why I got married, because I understood it. There was no stone left on. Like, that was the icing on the cake. Everything that happened with, you know, my sister, that's another topic for another day. I was able to see the good and the bad, the happy, the sad of what marriage really is. So there's no surprises here. You know, I know at any given day, with my history, my family background, that it could be a report. I'm not trying to speak that, but facts is facts. You know, medicine is medicine, and I'm pro-medicine. You know, I respect doctors' opinions, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe in the word. I believe God can do whatever He wants to do at any time. And I throw my hands up and say, "Yo, will be done." It is what it is.
Right.
So me and my wife went into marriage with that understanding, and I'm blessed during a cursed situation for me to really understand what it is to say I do. Because of a terrible situation.
Wow.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Perfect.
And, you know, we pray to God a lot about what we want in a mate, and not pray enough to God about what we need in a mate. Because a lot of times our wants are very superficial.
Very.
Right.
And
very superficial. But when it comes time for, you know, then you have a need that needs to be met.
Right.
And, you know, when that other person in your life meets that need and exceeds it, and you begin to look at life and marriage and people and your mate in a different light, in a different way.
Yeah. And I definitely think one of the main reasons, because prior to me and my wife getting married, I was the man. You know, I mean, I wasn't the man. I was just, you know,
the man behind the man.
I was the man behind the man. You know,
he was the man.
And it was easy sailing. I got what I wanted, and there was something about her that made me not want someone else. You know, there was something about her that made me not want to continue to do what I was doing with who I was doing it. And I think that's what really, you know, going back to the original question, that's really what made me say, you know what, now I know this is what it is. This is what I need. This is what I want. And, you know, my wife is a beautiful, caring individual, and she's always putting others first. And it's something bigger than what I ever thought it would be. It's been wonderful, but she was the one that came along that I was like, you know, all this other stuff was extra, but it wasn't what I needed. And she showed me what I really needed. And we've been married for going on 3 years now, and it's been a beautiful thing.
Isn't that something, the war between needs and wants? Because I feel like a lot of my wants just really got in the way of substance. You know, I found sanctuary dealing with a certain kind of woman, but it was really false advertisement. And then it was real in the moment, but at the end of the day, going back to spirituality, it's almost like God knows what I need.
Right.
And that's a tough struggle when you're not spiritually rooted.
Right.
Even when you are spiritually rooted, it's confusing because it's like, yo, I'm here.
Right.
I'm at the altar. I've been praying. I've been going. I'm here, but I gotta still deal with life. Really?
Right.
And I think that is what confuses men. I think that scares men, and it makes us rebel. Hence why you don't see too many men in the church.
Right.
And when we are in church, and you know, I've been visiting a lot of church lately, and I always like to look around when I go to church, because for the most part, when I go to church, I'm really there for the fruit of the word. I'm there for the message. I'm not there for the I don't want to say rah-rah. That's not the right word. I'm not there for the hype or the emotional side. I really just want to hear the text. I want it to speak to me. I want it to make sense. So when that emotional praise and worship portion of the program is happening, I sit back and I observe. And I see men sitting down, some men sitting down, folded up, and just kind of like staring out into the wilderness, like, okay. And I see a lot of women, more women, up praising, crying, getting the spirit, and getting emotionally fed, as opposed to not necessarily hearing the words in the scripture and stuff that is actually, substance on Monday through Saturday.
The crazy thing about it is, I think a lot of that has to do with control. I feel like men in general have difficulties at times giving up control, especially the way we're programmed and the way we're reared. It's supposed to be, a male-dominated society. Men are always supposed to be in control at all times and in all things. And I feel like a lot of men, when they come into church, that's the time where you're supposed to relinquish control. Like the Holy Spirit is supposed to be in control, and the Holy Spirit is supposed to take the Holy Spirit's way with you. And a lot of men have difficulties relinquishing control of anything, let alone to a spirit that they may or may not be entirely in tune with. Whereas women throughout their lives are until recently are reared and raised to be submissive and free and open, and hence you have probably a 75 to 25% ratio of women versus men in the church, because women are willing to be submissive and free and open and allow the Spirit to take control of them, whereas men are the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Some men anyway, some men.
I think the maturity overall as a whole, generally you think women, female, mature quicker than men, that whole stereotype and idea came from somewhere. And then I guess if we really wanted to dive into it, you could think that there's some truth into that. I think it comes in all aspects of life and in a relationship. And as it pertains to a relationship with God, a relationship with a mate, whomever, it's a level of maturity. Even in seeking a mate, it's a relationship, it's a maturity. Where are you? Your relationship with God, where are you in understanding your wants when it comes to maturity? Like you were just speaking about, your wants change. Before I met, your sister, it was a different want then. I wanted to be in the club. I wanted to be with this girl and that girl. And then when I decided that I wanted something different, that's when I realized I could kind of start to seek that, and asking. That maturity level started to change. The stuff I was doing that I felt like, I look back at it now and feel was childish. I realized that I changed a little bit in my maturity, so I had to ask a different question. So when I did say, like I said in the beginning, I prayed for it because I wanted something different. I didn't want what I was doing then. I wanted love in the sense that I had understood it. Someone who loves me and who I could love unconditionally. Didn't know anything about it because I never wanted to do it before, but I had matured past that idea. So then as we went on, we continued to grow and mature. My relationship with God developed around that same time. So I think all my wants and all my ideas, they kind of shifted because of my maturity level. But when it came to your sister, she had already been at a certain level when it comes to her relationship with God. Now, her not having those same experiences that I had maybe allowed her to see things in a different way, maybe naive, maybe these things. But because I came from a different level, meeting her standard and a different level of maturity, I think that's what allowed us to kind of work and have the relationship that we had, based solely on love and the idea of love as God sees it. And when it comes to relationship, men and their relationship with God, it's a similar thing. You really have to want that understanding, like Mike said, that, the Spirit is going to lead you, and you're not necessarily going to do anything that's going to supersede what God has for you, and allow yourself to be led. And that's difficult for the man to do.
So I've had this question for a while, and again, I have a big mouth, and I never really mind what I say openly when I have conversations with God or my wife or any of my friends. I always felt like, you know what, the relationship I have with mine, it's a one stop shop. That's it. If anything were to go south, or that's it. I would never want to experience the emotional restrictions that marriage could put on a person. I think that I've experienced quite a few emotions in my lifetime, and I will say the most difficult set of emotions to deal with is fatherhood, number one, death, number two, of really close ones, and I would say marriage, number three. Those three, and then finances, four. Those are the top four emotions that I have a very difficult time dealing with because of the loss of control. I can control my relationship with God. You know, that's the conference. That's just the open. He's here. There's an open invitation for me to have that conversation, for me to go to find somebody spiritually, get connected, open up my text, and just build my relationship on my own. But I can't control the what happens with my kids when I'm not around. I can't control their mouth when they say "shut up, Dad." When they're running around the house, you know, and I'm trying to sleep, and you know that I always have to catch my baby's two. She's one, you know, and she's at the age now where stuff she's saying is really like gritting my teeth and making me feel like I'm failing as a parent because either she's getting this from me, or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not home enough, or something is going on to where I'm not keeping her away from it, or I'm not disciplining her correctly for her to think that she can say the stuff she's saying to me. But and it's emotionally draining. Even with death, I can't control who God calls home, or you know, when life just happens, I can't control stuff like that. And in my marriage, I have a strong input on how I can make my wife feel. Everybody in this room knows right now, if there's $1 million on the line, can you make your significant other laugh? You know what to do.
Right.
If you can want to put a smile on her face for the rest of the day to get that Facebook validation, look what my man did. You know what to do. And if you want to piss her off, you can do that double time, double, half the second.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because I have a lot of control of that situation, even still, trust is that delicate. I don't know what she's doing right now. I'm miles away. You know, she could be doing whatever she wants to do. And I'm not saying I have a hard time dealing with that, but I have a hard time understanding that encyclopedia of female emotions. That natural male insensitivity to pregnancy, that time of the month, motherhood, education, and work. You wrap all three of that, because traditionally that wasn't the responsibility of the woman. But now we're dealing with the new millennial type of woman that's working just as hard. So I got to hear, well, I work just as much as you do and I'm expecting her to be a mother and a wife. And I'm too tired when it's time 11 o'clock come and I'm knocking on the door, and the door ain't nobody coming, ain't nobody answering the door. Right. And I gotta be like, yo, this is, do you realize that, it's out there. Right. And that dealing with stuff like that, I struggle with because of my, what do you want to call it? Male insensitivity?
I'll say maleness.
Yeah.
Because I think what kind of been hit on is the idea of what women are necessarily conditioned or what's in them instinctive. And I think it comes down to that submissive idea. The idea of being submissive is, throughout the Word of God. But it's also
in society.
In society. So the woman being conditioned, in a sense, to be submissive, or whether it's instinctive, really it comes down to Adam and Eve. Eve really was made from Adam, but to serve Adam. But at the same time, she was there as his helpmeet, not there to dominate. And I think the idea of submissive kind of is just instinctive in women, and it's hard for a man to understand the idea of submitting. And the whole idea, whether it's your relationship with God, submit it all to Him, is difficult. Submitting to your relationship and understanding that you two are equal, and you don't have to play dominant. You don't have to play king. You don't have to play, that alpha in your relationship is hard, because that means we have to submit. And the idea of a man submitting to a man is difficult. So our maleness makes it real difficult to understand the things that the women are having them instinctively, and because we don't have that necessarily from the jump.
And you know what? I think because, you done opened up a can of worms with the word submissive. I know there's some feminists out there trembling in their boots right now. But even with the word submission, it's kind of hard to even make that word or have that a part of a relationship now when women are doing 50%, if not more, than what the male is contributing nowadays to society, because the economy asks for two incomes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I always have this little joke, and I'm not joking when I joke about it, but my wife always says, can you help with the kids and can you do blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, no, you're the mother. That's what you're here for.
That's when the Hiroshima happened.
And I just got off work, but she just got off work.
Right.
But,
right.
Kids gravitate more to their mother anyway. I like to say I'm the superhero. I put on my cape, I hear cries, I fly in, I save the day, and I go back to the back cave. And it hasn't been until recently where I've been more of a helpmate around the house, where I actually have a routine where I'm coming home, I'm washing the dishes, I'm cleaning the kitchen, I scrub everything in the living room, and I'm giving the kids a bath, and then after the bath, it's just like, all right, full time out, mommy's put him to bed, I'm done. Right. It's 8 o'clock, I got other work I gotta get done. Mommy is 100% in control. In the middle of the night, if the kids cry at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not getting up. Mommy, your kids are calling. Your kids are calling.
I realized because my wife, she went out on maternity leave from her job. She's been home since. So God has blessed me to be able to bring in enough to be able to maintain everything. Yeah. It wasn't the original plan. It just worked out that God moved some things around, and we were able to do that.
First kid?
First kid.
Oh, congrats, brother. Yeah, congrats.
So I realized probably maybe like 4 months ago that I was being overly selfish, and that I felt like because I went to work every day and brought in the bacon and paid all the bills and took care of the lawn, that the small things like giving the baby a bath and changing his diaper and getting up in the middle of the night and all of those things you allude to, I felt like it wasn't, not necessarily that I didn't have to do it, but that if she did it, then everything was okay. When I realized in that same 4-month period, she left, I had the baby, I had him with me for maybe 3 hours by myself. And when she walked back through the door, brother, it was like Jesus came down off the cross. I was like, because them 3 hours, I'm chasing him around. He's picking up everything. He's touching everything. He's crying for everything. And it just gave me a small glimpse of what her day is like every single day.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, when I show up from work, I've been at work all day too, but so has she.
Yeah.
And my goal, my job as her husband, as her provider, is to provide her, not just financially and provide for her and spiritual growth and things of that nature, but to provide her rest and to allow her the moment to be able to just go to the room and rest and relax. And I found out that when I do that, I get hooked up more so than just because I'm paying the bills.
Yeah.
Like, it does something for her to see me. Yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm beat down, but I'm still cooking. I'm still cleaning. I'm still mowing the lawn. I'm still, cleaning off the patio. I'm still taking care of the baby. And it just, it's a blessing to her that she can just rest and relax.
Can I piggyback off that? I just wrote a blog called, forgive me for the acronym, it's called Give Her the DICK, right? Now, the acronym stands for dating, integrity, cater, and kissing, you are more likely to be able to celebrate your relationship when you do those following things.
Right.
I haven't been on a date with my wife in months, and has a lot to do with our kids, babysitters, our work schedule. It's just crazy. From an integrity standpoint, like, she's trusting me, I'm trusting her. I've just gotten to the point where I understand how powerful cooking and cleaning really is. I mean, a couple days ago, she came home, 7 o'clock. She had to go to the doctor's for some therapy. 7 o'clock came. The kids were taken care of. I cooked dinner. It was on the stove. I washed all the bottles. Lunch was prepared for the next day. Everything was vacuumed, waxed, scrubbed, disinfected. She came in and looked around. She says, "Thank you."
Right.
And later on, when I was getting ready to go to sleep,
At that 11 o'clock hour.
she tapped me on the shoulder.
Came knocking.
And I said, "Wait a minute. What's going on?
Right.
What's happening?
It's time to celebrate.
What's happening?" Because that's not the norm. Normally, I don't do those things.
Right.
And I realized, hey, if I do those things, she has a moment to woosah,
Right.
to have some peace. She'll gladly put the kids to bed, and we could actually have a conversation.
Right.
We could actually enjoy each other. We can actually, not yell at each other because she's at peace, because the kids take her from -3 from coming to work. She's a manager, dealing with other humans,
Right.
and then have to come home and deal with 3 more humans,
Right.
And I'm starting to understand that more, that Bill Cosby said this on one of his stand-up specials. I've seen the job of a woman, and I don't want it.
Right.
The expectations my children have for my woman is astronomical.
Yeah.
They don't have those expectations for me. One, because either I'm working, or they just don't respect me like that. But they want my wife all the time, and she gets it, and she wants me to see, like, look, while you're at work, this is what I'm dealing with all day. The crying, and when you walk in the house and you try to give me a hug, like, I'm done with humans. I don't want nothing to do with love or emotions. I'm depleted.
Yeah,
I have
right.
nothing to give, literally. And when that started taking a toll on our marital situation, I had to realize that I have to put on my cape and be Bruce Wayne during the day, and and Batman at night, and sometimes be Batman during the day and Bruce Wayne at night.
Right.
I have to
And
flip it. I have to come in and change my style up.
Like, also, like, you swoop in and be the superhero for the kids, swoop in and be the superhero for her.
Right.
There's nothing, the sex intimacy piece is amazing, but just like a 20 to 30 minute window where we can just sit on the couch and look at each other and talk and just conversate. The kids are done. I mean, the baby's asleep, the house is clean, and we just get a moment to just be just the two of us. And it sounds crazy, but you don't get a lot of those opportunities where it's just the two of you to take the moment to just relax and enjoy each other without having to worry about everything else going on.
And when I said earlier the word submit, the idea of submitting isn't in that sense. I think it's difficult for the man to understand the job of the woman as it pertains to what it is that they deal with. So them submitting themselves to the understanding of what goes on a daily basis to the one that they're with. It's not just them being your lady and them doing those things. Is that we all have different responsibilities that if the other one walked in the other person's shoes, we would have to say, damn, you got a lot going on through the day, where from the outside, you think there's not really that much.
Right.
But until you actually go through it with them and submit to the things that they're doing, you don't really understand. So as it's typically stated with man and woman, you may not understand. I had to actually live that life as in essence, which I hate saying, as both parents. When your sister was even ill, I had to take care of her and our baby. So the understanding that I had to do that wasn't new to me, because we had worked on on understanding each other's jobs and what we meant to the relationship and what we meant to each other and our household. So it really wasn't anything. I was committed to everything I needed to be for her. It just so happened that we had a child, and my commitment just had to step up, that maturity. But then after she passed, I had to take on all tasks. So there was no reprieve. There was no time for me. There was none of that. Time for me meant cleaning up the house, getting ready for the next day, getting to sleep, waking up just to do it all over again. So now as I'm in this place in my life and getting ready to marry again, I understand even more so than I did before that, what it takes to be your partner's helpmate is that submissive part, is understanding what it is that they go through so that you two can work on one accord and you can go forward being everything you need to be for each other.
That's a great point. And what we're going to do right now is take a pause for the cause. We're going to pay a bill and we'll be right back. The following episode of Intellectual Foreplay is brought to you by Hands On Moving LLC. For fast, effective, efficient, quality moving services, please contact Hands On Moving LLC. Visit their website at www.handsonmoving.net. All right, and we're back. Had to take a little pause for the cause, celebrate the Bachelor of the day, of the hour, of the week, of the year, the millennium.
I'll take it.
So basically, I realized why I got married just over the past couple hours. Ain't really too much out there when you think about it. You think something's out there, you go out there, you test the water, look around, and then you make that drive back home like, dang, it ain't even worth it. It ain't even too much going out there. So we was talking, we talked a lot over dinner. But before we left, we was, kind of talking about marriage and the gender roles. Jay, what would you say you're, from a young adolescent, if I'm looking into, I'm recently engaged, what would be your advice to any young man that's about to pursue marriage?
So make sure that everything he's looking for is what is in front of him. Whether it's attainable, whether it's right there at that moment, to do everything he can to find out that what he's looking for is there. And that's not just in the person that he's looking at, that's in himself. Make sure he's able to be everything he's supposed to be for that person. Make sure he's willing to accept everything that person has to offer, and understand the things that they may not be able to offer. She may not be able to bring you everything that you want, but can she be everything you need regardless? And that takes a lot of questions, a lot of asking, a lot of conversation, a lot of truth, a lot of honesty, a lot of openness and vulnerability. You gotta be willing to do those things openly and freely with the person that you with in order for it to be successful.
Now they say men should usually have a period of time where they're getting a lot out of their system. Do you think that you can ever really get something out of your system to the point where it's like, yo, been there, done that, I'm good, I don't nothing more to see here, time to just build with this one person?
I said no. You will probably always see something, quote unquote, better than what you want on the outside. But when you really get to know that person and really get to even spend time with that person, you realize they're not better than what you have on the inside, which is in your home.
Tyler Perry's 80-20 rule, huh?
Yeah. So, it's the old thing, the grass is always greener on the other side. And, I say a lot of people look at that as really AstroTurf.
Right.
At dinner, we talked about, briefly, polygamy. And, how some cultures adopt that mentality, but it's not necessarily accepted in the United States as something to be natural, legal, ethical, spiritual, per se. Hypothetically speaking, if that was something that was culturally acceptable in the United States, how do you think that would impact the divorce rate?
Wow. I mean, I think
it will make the impact, make the divorce rate go up, because now you got to divorce 4 people instead of 1.
But in retrospect, the divorce rate might go down because for those parties who are in that polygamy, the polygamous relationship, they know what they've signed up for and they know where they stand. And I don't know. I don't think the divorce rate would go up as long as they're consenting and agreeing with what they signed up for.
I'm thinking, to each his own.
Right.
That there are some cultures, America does practices that other cultures don't agree of.
Right.
And and other cultures, they do practices that we don't necessarily agree on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to each his own.
Do you think there's like a specific formula that young men could follow that can create a culture of family, marriage, spirituality that is not being taught or that is kind of lost in current society today as we see it?
Trust God. It's easy, but it's hard. Trust that the time is going to allow you to have everything you need to be everything you're supposed to be for God, for yourself, for anybody who comes into your life. Trust it. Be open. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. We kind of talked about submit to the will. And that is just, even if it's a matter of just whether you believe or you don't, allow yourself the time to really, find out who you are. Open yourself up to growth and to maturity, to knowing what you can and can't do, what you can and can't handle, what you do and you don't want. You got to really be honest with yourself and ask yourself a lot of questions and really give yourself honest answers to know what you want out of it. Out of the relationship and out of marriage and out of life.
Is that something you could you would recommend, or something you can do while you're growing spiritually with a woman, or is that a revelation that you should kind of have prior to selecting your mate?
I think it can be done at any time. I think it may be best done before you find someone, but it's not something that you can't do while you're with someone. It's not something that you two can't do together. It's not something that while you're together you can't do later. There's always an opportunity for it. It's always there.
That's true. Personal experiences definitely can define, a particular moment in your life that'll make you have that type of revelation, similar to what we were talking about before as to how I was able to select a mate, why it was the perfect time, and how I kind of came into that type of spiritual maturity. Everybody's process is different. Everybody's circumstances are definitely different. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's all these different books out there that will tell you 90-day rule this, and make sure you do 10 ways to keep your man. And I would like to think that men are we're simpler than a 90-day rule. We're simpler than a 10-step program. When it comes down to understanding our wants, our needs, our desires for women, and like you said, regardless of how a lot of people feel, I do feel like to be married successfully, it has to have some kind of covering, some kind of I don't want to use the word fear, but some kind of something that's not of this world. You know, something that isn't bounded by a legal contract or something that a judge can't pardon based on your own circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There definitely has to be something out of this world that gives you that extra push that you need to sustain the dark days.
Right.
So when people are unequally yoked, or when people are going through situations where they're not on the same page, I either always ask, well, where's your spiritual self? Because it's hard to do something as spiritual as marriage without spirituality.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't even make sense. How can you play basketball and not go to practice? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can you expect to lift weights if you're not eating right? All that comes back into its full self. We train for everything else. We go through hell and high water to get a degree. We do all types of things to get whatever it is we want to obtain. But when it comes to marriage, we don't pour that $20,000 you spent on on one day into sustaining your marriage. Think about it. You get married. Your wedding is 6-7 hours, $20,000, a lifetime. You're spending years in your relationship. There's vacation that costs, which is important. There's the psychological aspect when it comes to getting help, paying for that kind of counsel. There's gifts and dating. All that stuff is wrapped up into one big fee. And are we really investing in each other? Are we investing in our time and and making sure that this relationship is something worth being fruitful? This was a great night.
It was.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
A great
it was.
night of building.
Was.
Any final remarks from anybody in regards to this topic about manhood, spirituality, marriage?
Be true to you, and don't try to mold yourself or conform to something you're not. Be true to who you are, and allow the person who you are with to be themselves. Don't try to cookie cutter fit them into what you think they should be. Take them as they are, or move on to somebody else.
My thing is, throw your stereotypes and what you think marriage should be, your ideals of marriage. It's always good to take certain concepts from other marriages, from other situations that people have been through. But at the end of the day, your relationship is your relationship, and you're gonna operate it how both of you are gonna operate it how you see that you both should operate. And that's what makes my relationship with my wife successful, because we don't try to be anybody else. Her mom was married, her mother and father were married for 30 years before her mom passed. Her grandmother and grandfather was married for almost 45 years. My grandmother and grandfather have been married almost 60 years. So we have examples of what a good marriage should involve. However, we have to flow how we flow.
To the Bachelor.
Perfection is not the goal. Perfection is in the eyes of the beholder, and perfectly accept imperfection. You're both two imperfect people. You're not any more perfect or great than anyone else walking this earth. We all have flaws. We all have faults. We all make mistakes. Embrace the imperfections with the understanding that you walk in imperfection and live perfectly together.
I got one more thing to say. And, if God is the center of your relationship, just think about all the stuff that God forgave you for that nobody else knows about, not even your spouse. And that should give you some level of mercy when it comes to your relationships and your marriage.
Absolutely. All right, fellas. My final point is get plenty of rest, because you can't service nobody when you're tired. You can't read the word when you're tired.
That's right.
You can't entertain your woman when you're tired. Your kids don't care if you're tired.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And if y'all can see us right now, you're looking at four tired
brothers.
Four tired brothers. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We thought we was gonna be out here all night,
No turn up.
flipping over tables, having a hangover 5 moment. Well, we are absolutely defeated on this Sunday morning.
And I'm okay with that.
We went out,
Okay with that, man.
and it's just all a revelation that just basically comes down to we not about that life no more.
Right.
And ladies understand that men will eventually get to that point where what Jay-Z say, what more can I say? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Good where I'm at.
Yeah.
Jay, you the man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Thank you to my special guest for coming out. We out here at Mohegan
Thank
Sun
you.
rocking out. And we're about to sign off a third episode of Intellectual Foreplay. Thank you all for the support thus far. Please feel free to subscribe, email us, follow me on Twitter, and you will see all of my tags all over the video site. All right, so thank you again. This is Mr. Nice Guy signing off. Check the blog www.thevsoplife.com. Please subscribe and peace out.
Once again, it's on. It's on. Put me on a planet, damn it, with all the slim like Janet. Slick, kiss it, diss it, hell I lick it and invent it. Big, rub it, ran it, hell I run it, yeah, I ran it. In it, ran frantic, rub the roof, not in panic. Planet as a package, pick it in the packet, trick it and then track it, throw it, crack, then catch it. Quick as ricochet, rapid, quick, cause it's a habit. To rap it as fast as another brother running rapid. Never call you sir, who gives a damn if you mix a lot. East Coast gets the props, producers rock your nuts. Baby ain't got back, baby got black. That's why you see the black baby and you respect that. Check it out, on and on and on, rock on to the break of dawn, it's on. On and on and on, on and on and on. Check it out, to the break of dawn. On and on and on, on and on and on. Check it out, to the break of dawn. It's on. Make room for one rude boy, bad mood boy, new with no school boy. Now watch your dream and take out all the school boys. And don't get out of touch, cause you just get a slut with a clothes for repair sign on your nuts. Get where the thing slangers, body boom bangers. Waking in your with a hanger. Get real, I'm gonna live it up. Never forgive your cut on my back, watching your girls gap, give it up. I touch you where it hurts first. Brutalize you with a verse. Criticize my lyrics work. Think about a lost block, black stop. I rap to make a whack drop. Then slap you with my backdrop. The boom bang, slap, pat, plus slap, back. Step in my path and get that ass crack, crack. Check it out, on and on and on, rock on to the break of dawn, it's on. On and on and on, on and on and on. Check it out, to the break of dawn. On and on and on, on and on and on. Check it out, to the break of dawn. Singing like the Buddha Bang, hang out with the true crew, down with the Coochie Bang. Brothers come to do the same, but monkey see, monkey do, get your monkey ass plain. Individuals get original, cause of this will be critical and pickable and pitiful. I ain't with the big con heart, ripping other rhymes apart, here to spark me some iron parts. I stick to a city with some ripple, hit a bitty from the middle, hang on kitties like a triple nipple. Check it